Have you ever struggled for asking for help in your life, whether that was personally or professionally? Did you know that when it comes to different seasons in our life, different challenges we will inevitably face, asking for help is a positive? It is a natural part of life that a lot of us struggle with. So, with today's episode, we're going to look at what help looks like and how to tap into it. And when it comes to our own personal mental health, being in a state as whatever label we are, as a partner, a sibling, that ability to know that asking for help, taking that step forward, is a strength and it is not a weakness. Looking at stigmas and labels and how they can really become pitfalls for us, where we can have this perception of, well, I'm not this, or that's not me. And when it comes to different labels, and this is where I can veer from things a little bit, because we could say, well, that I am depression, or I am anxiety, or I am in a state right now that I am just overwhelmed, and that's all I am. And what happens is it ends up diluting so much of the rest of us. And this is where it's allowing ourselves to come to a point and saying, I'm really kind of in a funky place. I am in a place that I need help. And a lot of people out there, and I've struggled with this in the past, where we have this kind of strange wiring where thinking about the actual verbal saying, I need help, is kind of sign, seal, delivering that like there's something severely wrong with us. No, that just means we are in need of help. It's this state that we can kind of get to, that if I am verbally or even mentally kind of thinking and pondering this, that I need help, that I'm weak. And I'm not sure where that kind of became formulated, but it is so off. The older I've gotten, the more life has thrown at me. I have become more aware of how beautiful and how natural and how necessary support and help is throughout the course of our life. And so many times, depending on what your upbringing is, your culture, what you've been told, from the time, you were young to maybe even now, that it's like asking for help means there's something wrong with you, or it is equated to weakness, or we're saying, I am now defined as this. We are not defined by anything unless we allow ourselves to be defined by that. When it comes to, say, our own mental health, depression or anxiety, whatever it is, we are not one characteristic. It's one part of us. We can allow ourselves very easily to get the negative in there, where we're now labeling ourselves. This is not even about other people. We can be really our harshest judge and jury when it comes to seeking help. We can create this wedge and this obstacle that can really just slow us down significantly. We were not intended to pursue things by ourselves. And many of us are, well, I can do it. It can happen. I'm going to kind of, I'll throw this analogy out to you. It's kind of like, if you've ever seen a trapeze artist, right? And they're going across that little rope, that wire, right? And they're taking their time and they're being real careful, and they're 30 feet up. Now, how would you react if there was no support net underneath them? You'd be like, man, they're crazy, right? What are you thinking? They wouldn't do it because you're asking to get hurt. That is what happens to us when we go at things with our own mental health, when it comes to different times in our life when we're struggling with things, when it comes to different situations where we're just simply on overload. We allow these negative thoughts of labels and stigmas that we've allowed to kind of be digested as a reality to us. And we allow ourselves, I have to go at this by myself. I'm going forward without support. No. It's giving yourself this crazy permission. Support's okay. Support is natural. And I'm going to give you some examples, right? Because, well, what does this look like? Whether that's in the form of like, you know what, man, it has been crazy. I need a night out. And it's maybe connecting with someone. Hey, let's go out. Let's go get something to eat. We can face challenges that we can't avoid facing, but we do not have to face them by ourselves. And this mindset of the stigmas and labels that we can put on ourselves that hold ourselves back can really be butt kicking and are so absolutely unnecessary. And this is where it's just simply taking a deep breath and giving yourself permission. Hey, I'm going to state that I need some help and support. And that's going to look like a lot of different forms. And that's okay, because all of us are different. Next one we're going to look at is the aspect of it's okay to not be okay. The facade that a lot of us have put on, throughout the course of the year, week, days, whatever the heck it is, we're like, hey, how you doing? I mean, seriously, when we ask, it's kind of scripted. How you doing? And if someone was actually honest and said, like, I'm fine, it has been one heck of a week, is the fact of it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to continue to not be okay on a long-term basis without seeking some form of support. It's not okay, because we become heavier in our lack of wellness. We become tired, and we're like in this funk, and we're in this frustration, and that's okay. For different, it happens. To say that it doesn't happen would be ignorant, would be just not truthful. We have seasons in our life where we're not okay, and that's okay. But where do we go from there? To stay not okay, that's not okay. And this is where talking about, I need help, I need to change things up, got to get some support, that's where it needs to be implemented. We are stronger when we have support. And there's times that we don't really grasp that. Doesn't mean we're weaker, we're actually stronger. We will have a firmer foundation for us in all other areas of our life when we take that deep breath and give ourselves permission to say, you know what? I am not in a good place. I am not okay. I'm really struggling with whatever facet of your life, right? This could be solely mental health. This could be something else, right? With so many people right now, when it comes to their own personal mental wellness, there's a whole lot of people struggling. And I know there's so many people who are tired, and there's this kind of false persona of like, I just have to hold it all together. Okay, for who? For me, for my family. Okay, but guess what? You're actually thinking that they're thinking that you're holding it all together, and you're not. And we know that, right? Because it comes out in other ways. I am super guilty of that sometimes, where it's like, I just got to keep going. And to say that, you're not going to have stages that you're not okay is inaccurate. It's a fallacy. So I'm not okay, and that's okay, but I need to change things up a bit. What does that look like for you? Where does that meet you? Because knowing that this island mentality that I can do it, right? There's an I in island, but we're not supposed to be that way. We're not supposed to be islands. This is where that whole, it takes a village. There's been a loss of that village community. We help each other, and we need it. As human beings, we need that sense of community, that sense of feeling part of something more than that's just us. And this is where it's kind of being, I'm going to say that bravery, and coming forward and saying, like, you know what? I need some help. I need some support. And that is a beautiful thing. And whether that's feeling overwhelmed at work, right? You're like, I'm at my breaking point, and it's reaching out to a coworker. It could be, I'm in a funky place during certain times of the year. During holidays, for a lot of people, man, are tough. Whether that's the aspect, the reminder of finances being challenged, whether that's I've lost somebody, or it's a separation, it's a whatever. The holidays are really hard for a lot of people, and say that it's reaching out to somebody. And you could say, well, I need someone to reach out to me. A lot of times it doesn't happen, and it could be uncomfortable. Who is that person? And maybe that's like, I don't have that person. Maybe it's looking at connecting with a counselor or a therapist for the time being, not in terms of friendship, but in terms of just clearing out the clutter and getting our minds where that clarity and that aspect of, okay, I'm getting to a point that I'm pursuing being okay. And that journey, man, is a pursuit that requires different facets, different layers of support. Life happens. And the reality is that sometimes we can kind of get into a rut, right? We can be that not okay. But when that rut, like you're spinning your tires and you're spinning and you're accelerating, right? You're stuck in that rut. And if you keep spinning and you don't change something, you're not going anywhere. And what actually happens is that rut, right, becomes a little bit deeper. Those tires get sunk in a little bit more. And the reality of you being able to realistically get out of that gets less and less the more we accelerate, the more we try, the more we're stubborn. We could be so stubborn sometimes. And I don't get that. We could be so stubborn sometimes where I don't need it. I'm okay. I can do this. And we look at help, right? This 4-letter word as this kind of like, it's my kryptonite, right? It's going to weaken me. I don't need it. And I just call bull crap on that, because all of us at different stages, we need help. I'm going to tell you this. I have a few dear friends of mine that we video chat a few times a week. They live up north, and I will tell you the transparency, just the honesty, the love, the encouragement has been so life transforming for me in terms of support, in terms of just that, when you're in a funk, encouraging, they're in, like, we just reciprocate. And I feel really blessed for that. But pursuing that and saying, there's times I need to be real straight up, right? About this is what's going on this week and I'm struggling, looking and for me, just hearing some insight and wisdom and having other people pray for me is significant in my life. That aspect of accountability, having somebody in your life that just, how you doing, is so important. The aspect of like pursuing therapy, the aspect of like, I need, I'm looking at people in my life that, hey, you know what? There's too much going on with this stuff at work. I was wondering if you could help me out here, or my car broke down, or the oven broke, or whatever it is. And never allowing ourselves to equate speaking up, emailing, texting for that help. It is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is that pursuit of making ourselves on this wellness journey. And what goes hand in hand with this, because a lot of us can delay this help, is the now, not later. It is now, not later. That let it happen. Do not wait to seek support. I've had people over the years, I'll get to it. It's on the back burner. I know it's important, but I'm going to get to it. No. You have to hold yourself as a high priority. And when we don't, it affects all other areas of our life. It does. Things begin to crack. We say, you know what? I'm gonna take some more. And it's empty. Well, what's coming out of the cup? Nothing, because it's empty. And that is what happens to us when we keep going, and we become obstinate. And what? Now, not later. Connecting with a friend, that accountability aspect of things. The connecting with a therapist, a counselor, whether it's, weekly basis, every other week. And this is where I'm at. Coming up with a game plan. Taking time to breathe. Allowing ourselves to kind of get to this pursuit of being healthy. Connecting within our community that helps with that aspect of help, of support, of layering. And I would encourage you to write things down. What areas are you just feeling overwhelmed with? And what are things that could be cut back a little bit? What are areas that I'm reaching out and I'm asking for support? Come up with a game plan. Game plans make things happen. When it just kind of stays in our minds, I will tell you, if I don't write things down, things become swirly in my mind and nothing happens, right? Nothing for me. I'm way ADD. Too many things in my head. I have to write it down, because if I want it to go from thought to paper to actionable, a tangible action, it can happen. I've got to have a game plan. And that cannot happen just in our minds. It can't. It's impossible. We have to make it happen. And it's allowing ourselves, right? Getting to this point of helping ourselves. And that comes in so many different forms. And it's not just the aspect of, okay, I'm going to go to a counselor. Well, it could be, you're going to the gym, right? Part of our wellness is getting our serotonin levels going, or getting our heart active, or I'm going for a walk 3 days a week and I'm just getting my blood pumping and I'm moving. That is part of the wellness journey. That is part of help, allowing ourselves to lighten our load. And you could say, how does that lighten my load? Well, it does, because it gets us healthier. It absolutely does. And the type of food that we're putting into our bodies go hand in hand. All these things are connected. Where when we're in a funk, we have a tendency, right, when we're overwhelmed, to make some not so great decisions in other areas. Not 100% of the time, but a whole lot of time where it's getting ourselves in this, we're just overwhelmed. So what does your support look like? Whether it's reaching out to a friend, coworker, a family member, for encouragement, for insight. I always believe in finding people that we are open to listening and getting feedback from them about where we're at, providing encouragement and not just sugarcoating things, because that gets us nowhere. But, honesty and encouragement. And sometimes it could take a while to pursue and find and connect with those people. They're not your therapist, but just people of encouragement. And they are out there and connecting and being honest. When we're in this mode of just, how you doing? I'm good. You okay? I'm okay. And this really mask, this facade, that it can be really easy to kind of get in that groove. It's allowing ourselves to be more transparent. And that doesn't have to be with everybody, absolutely not, but it's just allowing ourselves to get to this point that we are in a healthy place. We're in a healthy pursuit, and it gets us really far. And know all of these things that we're looking at are worth pursuing because you are worth it. And it's veering from that stigma. It's veering from those labels. It's having faith in our ability to say, you know what? I acknowledge that I need help. I'm going forward. And I realize it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not be okay on a long-term basis. So I'm going forward. Right now, I'm not delaying. And I'm getting my wellness journey on because I need help. Boom. That's where we're at. And if you enjoyed today's show, I'd encourage you to give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the Goodness Chick YouTube channel and pass it along to your friends. Wishing you an abundance of peace, love, and goodness.